After over a decade of Spider-Man movies, Sony Pictures has finally expanded its Marvel Universe with the introduction of Madame Web. Directed by S.G. Clarkson, this bending genre origin story follows Dakota Johnson, a paramedic who gains extraordinary psychic abilities after a near-death experience. When Cassie has a disturbing vision of three young women, she intervenes and trusts herself on a dangerous battle against the killer Ezekiel Sims. While Madame Web takes audience on a thrill ride across New York City, the unconventional superhero film leaves plenty of threads dangling for potential sequels. From the fate of the villain to Cassie's own transformation and the emergence of Julia, Maddie, and Anya's spider powers, the ending begs for further exploration. So let's break down the final moments of Madame Web, the call to action for Spider-Woman of the future. Okay, so by the end of the movie, Cassie has come to her own as Madame Web after getting her own new psychic abilities. She goes through that classic hero journey of self-discovery when she travels to Peru to learn more about her late mom and how she got mixed up with Ezekiel way back when. This finally allows Cassie to unlock the extent of her cool powers to see the future and be in multiple places at once. Meanwhile, the villain Ezekiel is still obsessed with his mission to kill Julia, Maddie, and Anya before returning to the Spider-Woman from his nightmares who get revenge on him. The final showdown brings everyone together on a rooftop where Ezekiel meets a fitting end courtesy of a falling sign, killed by literally corporate greed. But Madame Web still suffers the consequence by getting knocked out and blinded in the river below. You know, that happens in the film, but also happens to the film. So when she comes out, she's in that nasty wheelchair and has taken the girls under her wing as their mentor. So even though we don't see the trio officially gain any spider abilities, the ending definitely gets you hyped to see the next generation embrace their destinies as superheroes. That's something that's gonna happen. And with Madame Web now rocking the whole psychic advisor role, it leaves things wide open for how big the Spider-Verse could get. Now the issue of this film is the villain. Even though we don't get a fully download on Ezekiel whole deal, it seems like he's basically another one of those villains drunk on power and afraid to lose it. He got his spider abilities back in the 70s and has let it go to his head ever since. He spent decades using his gift of prophecy to look into the future and see these three Spider-Women who eventually take him down. So instead of making nice with the next generation, Ezekiel make it his mission to find and destroy the young girls who are affecting his legacy. We can read between the lines that he's bitter about having to pass the mantle to Julia, Maddie, and Anya, so he clearly goes to murderous lengths to hold to his relevance. But at least Madame Web and her squad shot his evil plan down in the end. So one thing that leaves audience hanging is we never actually see how Julia, Maddie, and Anya gave their own sweet spider powers. Going from the comics is different for each, and there definitely no spiders biting them over the course of this movie. Obviously, while Cassie has visions implying the girls will indeed become Spider-Woman someday, we don't get any definites to their actual origins. Yeah, we'll have to wait until the filmmakers want to save some juicy details for the sequel. Clearly, so many things in the film, and clearly having Cassie now mentor the girls is gonna be set up for their destiny in the sequel. But obviously for now, the road to becoming spider heroes remains a mystery. Are they injected with a special serum? Do they complete magical rituals? Or however it plays out in the sequel, the takeaway seems to be embracing that they're gonna band together and have the power. So while a few questions linger around this movie, like a lot, obviously how Maddie, Anya, and Julia officially joined this universe League of Spider-Women is sure to make for an epic origin unfold when the time finally comes, if they decide to go that route. Now in the film, if you want to think about Easter eggs to the Spider-Verse or how they setting up this universe, We do actually get some little nods to other Spider-Man characters we know in the film, like Ben Parker, who plays a supporting role as Cassie, paramedic, a partner, and close friend. We see him rushing his very pregnant Mary to the hospital at one point when she goes into labor, and later is hinted that the new baby born is none other than little Peter Parker himself. Now we can assume that this baby is none other than Peter Parker's, so Madame Web drops some solid Easter eggs rewarding Spidey fans in the known. It's a nice way to loosely connect this new saga to the friendly neighborhood web-slinger we are familiar with. Definitely makes you wonder if they're gonna go ahead and create a new Peter Parker someday down the line, but for now it's cool to see the early origins unfolding for characters we can expect to be part of Spider-Man world. While Madame Web set us an intriguing new corner of the Sony Marvel universe, the execution leaves something to be desired. This is due to the convoluted plot that tries to cram in too many elements without enough explanation. Ezekiel motivations are a particular weak spot. Additionally, the lack of actual spider-powered action onto the rush climax fails to deliver on the superhero film that it was promised. There's also the issue of the awkward reference to Spider-Man continuity that seems to confuse rather than connect Madame Web to Peter Parker's story, not properly grounding Dakota Johnson, psychic lead as the Madame Web comic fans we can expect, is another oft-cited complaint. And while the performances of Dakota and the villain Ezekiel draw praise, the other young co-stars fail to make such an impression, and they're not really a huge... It's so confusing because they're part of the film, they're important in the film, but it doesn't feel that way. So while the potential is there for future installments to improve and expand on the unique concept, the first Madame Web movie adaptation appears rather middle of the road. It's not good when you can chew in terms of plot and desperate characters. As we know, Sony wants to expand their Sony Marvel universe after the success with Venom. Sony is eager to grow their own Marvel spin-off universe using characters with Spider-Man connections, but it doesn't feel that way like in this film. Yeah. Obviously, rather than sticking to the familiar origin story formulas, Madame Web experiments with a superhero prequel that focus more on psychic visions over action. This could allow Sony to call audience appetite for different types of comic book adaptations, but it doesn't work. You know, obviously we know that if they do a sequel, they would likely, if they do decide to do a sequel, it would likely showcase how Julia, Maddie, and so on got their spider-based powers. We could see them getting bitten by the spiders or so on, and how they're gonna work in the future. But it's just like, what's the purpose of this film besides expanding your Sony Marvel universe? Having Madame Web can see the future, but something that we know from the comics is that she's able to see the Spider-Verse, like able to see the multiverse and other different Spider-Man, see Spider-Mans in the multiverse. They don't touch this at all. So one of her most important powers from the comics is not even in the film. Like, how are you gonna explain to us why we should care? It's not like they're building their own universe by connecting to other characters like Venom or, Craving. It's just like, it's a simple story of them stopping a character who wants them because something that happens in the future. That's the film. That's the film. Nothing else like that. So that's the purpose of this film. I don't know. If you have an answer, leave it in the comments below. So that's the video for today. Just my rant about this film. It's just so bad. But thank you so much for watching. My name is Christian from BM Premiere, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye, everyone.